Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam had now become the controller of the granaries in Egypt. During the 7 good years, the Prophet had full control over the cultivation, harvesting, and storage of crops. The Prophet saved enough grains during the abundant years. And then, like the Prophet had predicted, drought followed, and famine spread throughout the nation. The leaves turned yellow, and not even a single drop of rain fell from the sky. But nobody in Egypt died of hunger, for the Prophet had saved more than enough grains for the harsh years. "You were right, Yusuf," the king said to the Prophet. "It's only because of you that our people are not suffering. All our neighbors are asking for our help. What should I tell them?" he asked. "Allah saved us," the Prophet replied. "We have plenty of grains with us. I think this is the time we should help our neighbors. We can give them the grains at a small price. Many lives can be saved." "I agree with you," the king said. He then ordered to distribute the grains evenly to those in need. This famine affected Canaan as well. Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam heard the news of grains being distributed in Egypt. He decided to send his sons to Egypt to get the grains, all of them except Benjamin. The brothers traveled for many days and finally arrived in Egypt. Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam heard about the 10 brothers who had arrived from a distant land. When they arrived to collect the grains, the Prophet immediately recognized them. But the brothers didn't. How could they? To them, he no longer existed. They had thrown him in the well many years ago. The Prophet then met them and welcomed them warmly. After giving them the provisions, he asked where they had come from. "We are 11 brothers, son of a noble prophet. We come from Canaan," they replied. "I count only 10 here." The Prophet asked them, "Our youngest brother is at home, tending our father's needs." On hearing this, the Prophet's eyes filled up with tears. He longed to meet his father and his little brother. "Are you truthful people?" he asked them. The brothers were confused. "What reasons do we have to lie to you?" they asked him. "If what you say is the truth, then bring your youngest brother, and I'll double your rations. But if you do not bring him to me, then you better not try entering Egypt again," he warned them. The brothers agreed and said that they will need their father's permission. The Prophet then asked his servant to place the bag of money they paid secretly in one of the grain sacks. After many days of travel, they reached Canaan. They greeted their father and said, "We were denied some supplies because you did not let Benjamin come with us. The controller of granaries has promised to give us extra provision if you let him come with us. Please, father, send him with us, and we shall take good care of him." But the old prophet said sadly, "I will never let Benjamin travel with you. How can I trust you knowing what you did with Yusuf?" Later, when they opened the grain sack, they were surprised to find their money purse inside. "Look, father," they said, "the noble official has returned our money. This is a proof that they will not harm our brother." But the old prophet refused again. After a few months, when they had no more grains, Prophet Yaqub alayhi salam asked them to travel to Egypt. "We cannot go there without Benjamin," said one of the brothers. They reminded him of the warning given by the Egyptian official. The old prophet finally agreed. but only after they took an oath to bring him back safely. Allah is witness to your pledge, he reminded them before they left. The Prophet blessed them as they set off for Egypt and prayed for their protection. The brothers traveled for many days through the desert, and they took good care of Binyamin as well. When they arrived in Egypt, Yusuf alayhi salam welcomed them heartily. He prepared the feast for them and made them seated in pairs. The Prophet sat next to his beloved brother, Binyamin. He noticed that Binyamin was weeping. "Why are you crying?" he asked his little brother. "If my brother Yusuf had been here, I would have sat next to him," Binyamin replied. That night, when the Prophet and Binyamin were alone in the room, the Prophet asked his brother, "Would you like to have me as your brother?" But Binyamin respectfully answered that he regarded him as a wonderful person, but he could never take the place of his brother. On hearing this, the Prophet broke down and said, "Binyamin, I am your brother who was lost. Fate has brought us together after so many years." Binyamin exploded with joy when he heard this. "Listen to me," said the Prophet. "This should remain a secret for the time being." Binyamin agreed and he flung his arms around the Prophet. They cried and shed tears of joy. The next day, when the brothers were loading the bags of grains, the Prophet ordered one of his servants to keep the golden measuring cup inside Binyamin's saddlebag secretly. When the brothers were ready to set out, the soldiers came running to them. "Oh, brothers, stop there! You are thieves!" shouted the soldiers. When the people around heard this, they gathered around the brothers. "What have you lost?" asked the confused brothers. "The king's golden cup," said the soldier. "We didn't come here to steal," said another brother. The Prophet had instructed one of the soldiers to ask the brothers the following question: "What punishment would you give for a thief?" "According to our law, whoever steals becomes a slave to the owner of the property," answered a brother. "We shall apply your law instead of the Egyptian law then," said the soldiers. They started searching the bags one by one. When they reached Binyamin, they pulled out the king's cup from his bag. The brothers were stunned. They thought of their father and the pledge they had taken. They began to beg the Prophet for mercy. "Yusuf, O minister, take one of us instead," they pleaded.
وكذلك مكنا ليوسف في الأرض يتبوأ منها حيث يشاء نصيب برحمتنا من نشاء ولا نضيع أجر المحسنين ولأجر الآخرة خير للذين آمنوا وكانوا يتقون وجاء إخوة يوسف فدخلوا عليه فعرفهم وهم له منكرون ولما جهزهم بجهازهم قال ائتوني بأخ لكم من أبيكم ألا ترون أني أوفي الكيل وأنا خير المنزلين فإن لم تأتوني به فلا كيل لكم عندي ولا تقربون قالوا سنراود عنه أباه وإنا لفاعلون وقال لفتيانه اجعلوا بضاعتهم في رحالهم لعلهم يعرفونها لعلهم يعرفونها إذا انقلبوا إلى أهلهم لعلهم يرجعون فلما رجعوا إلى أبيهم قالوا يا أبانا منع منا الكيل فأرسل معنا أخانا نكتل وإنا له لحافظون قال هل آمنكم عليه إلا كما أمنتكم على أخيه من قبل فالله خير حافظا وهو أرحم الراحمين ولما فتحوا متاعهم وجدوا بضاعتهم ردت إليهم قالوا يا أبانا ما نبغي هذه بضاعتنا ردت إلينا ونمير أهلنا ونحفظ أخانا ونزداد كيل بعير ذلك كيل يسير قال لن أرسله معكم حتى تؤتون موثقا من الله لتأتونني به إلا أن يحاط بكم فلما آتوه موثقهم قال الله على ما نقول وكيل وقال يا بني لا تدخلوا من باب واحد وادخلوا من أبواب متفرقة وما أغني عنكم من الله من شيء إن الحكم إلا لله عليه توكلت وعليه فليتوكل المتوكلون ولما دخلوا من حيث أمرهم أبوهم ما كان يغني عنهم من الله من شيء إلا حاجة في نفس يعقوب قضاها وإنه لذو علم لما علمناه ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون ولما دخلوا على يوسف آوى إليه أخاه قال إني أنا أخوك فلا تبتئس بما كانوا يعملون فلما جهزهم بجهازهم جعل السقاية في رحل أخيه ثم أذن مؤذن أيتها العير إنكم لسارقون قالوا وأقبلوا عليهم ماذا تفقدون قالوا نفقد صواع الملك ولمن جاء به حمل بعير وأنا به زعيم قالوا تالله لقد علمتم ما جئنا لنفسد في الأرض وما كنا سارقين قالوا فما جزاؤه إن كنتم كاذبين قالوا جزاؤه من وجد في رحله فهو جزاؤه كذلك نجزي الظالمين فبدأ بأوعيتهم قبل وعاء أخيه ثم استخرجها من وعاء أخيه كذلك كدنا ليوسف ما كان ليأخذ أخاه في دين الملك إلا أن يشاء الله نرفع درجات من نشاء وفوق كل ذي علم عليم قالوا إن يسرق فقد سرق أخ له من قبل فأسرها يوسف في نفسه ولم يبدها لهم قال أنتم شر مكانا والله أعلم بما تصفون